في أكثر الكتب.
Van Halen, one of the most iconic rock bands of all time, known for their explosive energy, jaw-dropping guitar riffs, and unforgettable party anthems. But behind all the fame, there's a treasure trove of wild stories, quirks, and legendary moments that shaped the band. So, let's dive into 11 mostly true facts about Van Halen, and we'll leave it up to you to decide just how true some of them really are. Fact number 1. The band wasn't originally called Van Halen. They started as Mammoth. Yep, Mammoth. But after finding out there was already a band with that name, they decided to go with something more personal. Enter Van Halen, a name that would soon echo through stadiums across the globe. Fact 2. Next up, Eddie Van Halen's iconic guitar solo in Eruption was recorded in one take. That's right, the mind-blowing riff that changed rock history wasn't planned, rehearsed, or overdubbed. Eddie just went for it, and the rest is history. Fact 3. Speaking of Eddie, he didn't start out as a guitar player. Eddie was actually a classically trained pianist before picking up the guitar. He'd learned piano first, and it wasn't until later that he decided to conquer the sixth string. But when he did, well, you know the rest. Fact 4. Now, we all know the famous jump kick moves from David Lee Roth, but did you know that the band's first singer actually wanted to be a circus performer before going into music? He was a martial artist and acrobat. Which explains the moves that would make even the toughest rockers jealous. Fact 5. Here's one that's a bit more, colorful. Van Halen had a famous contract writer, and if you're a fan of rock and roll lore, you probably know it. They demanded a bowl of M&Ms in their dressing room, but with all the brown ones removed. Why? Well, it was a test. If they walked into a room and saw brown M&Ms, they knew the promoter hadn't read the entire contract. A strange flex, but hey, it worked. Fact 6. Van Halen's 1984 album wasn't supposed to be called 1984. It was actually going to be called The Final Conflict. But after the band heard Michael Jackson's Thriller on the radio, they decided to go with something more futuristic and funky. And the rest, as they say, is history. Fact 7. Did you know that Eddie Van Halen's famous Frankenstein guitar was built by him from scratch? He took parts from different guitars, including a cheap plywood body, to create the legendary axe that would go on to produce some of the most recognizable sounds in rock history. Fact 8. Alright, time for some drama. Van Halen had a famously rocky relationship with their first lead singer, David Lee Roth. But did you know the split wasn't because of musical differences? It was actually because of egos. Roth wanted to go solo, but Eddie wanted to keep the magic going with Van Halen. This battle of wills led to one of the biggest band breakups in rock history. Fact 9. The band wasn't just a party machine, they were also innovators. Eddie Van Halen's use of the finger-tapping technique on the guitar wasn't just a flashy move, it was groundbreaking. It revolutionized rock guitar playing and influenced countless players after him. Fact 10. Van Halen wasn't just about loud music, they also had a lot of heart. In the 1980s, the band raised millions of dollars for the United Way by playing benefit concerts. While their on-stage persona was all about excess, they were also committed to giving back. Fact 11. And finally, did you know that Van Halen is one of the few bands to have two separate #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100? Jump and Why Can't This Be Love both reached the top spot, cementing the band as true chart toppers. So there you have it, 11 mostly true facts about Van Halen. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just discovering the band's legendary music, one thing's for sure, Van Halen was, and still is, a force of nature in the world of rock. Who knows what stories we missed, but we're betting they're just as wild and amazing as these.